You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 230 and it is a Friday edition. My name is Clark from 5cardguys.com and 5cardguys on Instagram. Co-hosting with me is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards. John's away for the next couple of episodes, but we hope to have him back before the end of the month. All right, today's episode will be short and sweet because we got a lot of things going on this week as we prepare for Fanatics Fest coming up next week. But we still wanted to get this pod out to you guys to tie you over the weekend. So off the top, just a quick shout out to cardboard_preacher on Instagram. If you haven't heard already, he alerted many of us in the hobby to a fundraiser for a family who needs a wheelchair van for their 7-year-old who has severe physical disabilities. And if you want to know the whole story of how Cardboard Preacher, whose name is actually John, how he got to know this family, go to his IG page, which I will link below in our show notes. But long story short, he was on Facebook Marketplace looking for cards, and he came upon this family's listing. And they were selling some of their cards to raise money for this wheelchair van that cost about $40,000. And what John did after some digging, he found out that they had already set up a GoFundMe page, and there was an initial donation of $700, but then John asked his IG followers, and he has almost 3,000 IG followers, to contribute. And I actually saw this post because Cage Lawyer reposted Cardboard Preacher's post on his page, and then the internet did its thing, and in one day, the hobby raised about $13,000 US. And a week or so later, it's currently at almost $32,000. Which is amazing. So we're close to the $40,000 target, which is why I wanted to share this story. And I'll put the link to the GoFundMe page in our show notes as well. And hopefully we'll get this family who's out in Eastern Oregon to their goal. That's awesome. A cool story.
Yeah, super cool story. That just shows you kind of what the hobby is all about at the end of the day, right? It's a community where we don't have to always look at the negatives of the hobby. There are a lot of positives that come out of it, and it's all community based. And I think that's why people enjoy it so much, is because it gives an escape for kind of like reality, right? So people come to this hobby. There's nothing better than, these stories that are helping the community. So yeah, please help donate if you can on that link.
Yeah, we're so close. It was amazing though, like 700 to 32,000 in a week. Great stuff from the hobby. Okay, so next, our hobby discussion for the day. Let's go right back into the cards. And I want to really just briefly weigh in on the release of the 2023 Donruss Optic Football first off the line product, which saw several breakers and some who are able to actually get the FOTL product online. They received loaded cases with more than 20 downtown insert cards in each case. And of course, Backyard Breaks was one of those breakers. And of course, the hobby was up in arms. Panini, they did release a statement the following day, and this is what they said. Quote, "Earlier this week, we became aware of a manufacturing issue with first off the line Donruss Football Optic and a collation issue related to the downtown insert. After conducting a 72-hour on-site audit at a new print manufacturer, we found that there was an error during manufacturing. The audit revealed that this issue was isolated, affecting a small number of FOTL cases where extra content was included in some cases, but there was no shortage of any content in the FOTL boxes sold. The rest of the Donruss Football Optic manufacturing and packout was normal and unaffected," end quote. So Hyung, do you think this is what happened? Or does it even matter? Because, to some collectors, it's really the beginning of the end for Panini since they're losing their NFL license. And the speculation is, they're just overprinting stuff to maximize profit. What are your thoughts?
Man, it sucks that this happens. As a manufacturer, I think just based on brand, you have to have a quality control where this could never happen. So you could either see it on one side. Was it intentionally done or was it accidentally done? If you look at it accidentally, then yeah, Panini has to clean it up. Like you have nothing. You're not busy, like you've been not busy for the last couple of years. So it's like, tighten up, maybe have some more value, and maybe Fanatics will buy you out too, right? Like, but if it's intentional, then yeah, those are the things that you want to make sure, doesn't happen, or at least when I see that, I'm just like, man, that's a lot of downtowns, like a lot.
Yes.
Like if that's just spread out over, a few other cases, that would be great, right? So yeah. I'm for like a loaded cases. Like I know like sometimes you get loaded cases even with Topps products, right? But it can't be like 25 downtowns with like 2-3 gold downtowns in that case, and then
that's crazy.
There's the black ones and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. And when I read that statement, I don't know if I really trust it, but there's no way of proving it either way, right? So I wanted to bring this up too. According to third-party grading tracker GemRate, the trend for the amount of downtown insert cards, of course, has been going up year after year. So I read this article on Collect, and it says less than 2,800 downtowns from 2018 Donruss Optic football have been graded by PSA, right? So just under 3,000. That number rose to 5,600 for 2020 Optic football, before jumping to over 15,000 for 2021 Optic football. Wow. So I'm assuming, or I'm guessing, that for this year's football, it's more than 15,000.
Wow.
Right?
But you know what that means? Here's a business opportunity. And I'm not going to do it because I'm not for repacks, but
yeah,
I could see downtown repacks. So it's just strictly downtowns.
Oh, I see.
And then you include the big downtown hits, right? So now you're doing these repacks more in specifics, right? In niches. I would actually not mind that, depending on the price, obviously the buy-in, but I'm sure you could do it with any kind of niche, but if the print run is actually there, right? But yeah.
It reminds me also of when Denny was on the show last week. We were talking about the popularity of downtown insert cards, and it just seems to be, with how many are available, with how many are printed these days, it's just, I feel like there's a major correction coming in terms of pricing.
For sure.
So, just be mindful of that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I 100% agree. And then that's why I said, where are they all going to go? They're going to go in repacks.
Right. Wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah.
All right. We said it would be short and sweet for this Friday episode, but we'll have a brand new full-length episode for you on Tuesday. And it will be the beginning of our countdown to Fanatics Fest, which will be coming on the Friday of that week. So we'll talk to you soon. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.